The room was dark when the encrypted alert chimed across Marcus Hale's desk. He didn't turn on the lights. He didn't need to. The holoscreen pulsed with a blue glow that spilled across the metal floor like cold water. Marcus leaned forward, jaw tightening as the message decrypted. His fingers hovered above the console, steady but tense, as the seal of the Galactic Concord dissolved into raw footage. He saw his son. Elias stood barefoot on a lab platform, wearing a thin medical gown far too large for his small frame. He was shaking, but trying not to show it. Even at 12, Elias had inherited Marcus's stubbornness. The boy looked around with frightened eyes as armored soldiers raised their rifles. Their helmets reflected sterile white lights, hiding any hint of humanity. A scientist gave a command off-screen. Elias flinched, and a burst of energy erupted from his hands, wild, uncontrolled psionic discharge. The boy screamed as the surge flickered across the platform. The soldiers fired. Marcus didn't blink. He didn't breathe. He watched until the recording ended, the final shot echoing inside his skull long after the visual faded. His son collapsed, lifeless, crumpling like a broken piece of paper tossed aside. He stared at the empty screen. Minutes passed. Maybe hours. Time didn't exist. Only the quiet pulse of grief vibrating through him, a low, suffocating pressure that threatened to break something vital. But it didn't. It changed shape, became sharper, colder. Marcus rose, slow and deliberate. He wasn't shaking. His voice didn't crack. He only whispered his son's name once, steady as stone. Elias. Then he walked out. Echo Division's black site was buried deep under Nevada's desert. Corridors were carved from reinforced titanium alloy, each turn guarded by biometric locks and silent automated turrets. Marcus bypassed each with practiced ease. He didn't need authorization, he was authorization. His steps echoed with calm purpose until he reached the sealed chamber marked with a single red designation. Omega Primate Containment. Inside, frost-coated two massive cryotanks. Thick layers of ice obscured the hulking silhouettes suspended within them. Even dormant, the creatures radiated power, monstrous, terrifying, alive. Marcus rested a hand on the glass of the first pod. The creature inside floated in rigid hibernation, immense chest, corded limbs, and a face shaped by evolution's unforgiving hand. Black fur rippled beneath the ice like shadows trapped in eternal sleep. He keyed in the override. Warning alarms flashed, but he didn't stop. Steam hissed as the tank depressurized. Ice shattered. The creature dropped to one knee, shaking off cryofrost, exhaling a deep, guttural breath that vibrated the walls. Its eyes opened amber, aware, intelligent. It growled low. Marcus. Hale. You remember me, Marcus said. The creature's voice rumbled like distant thunder. Rax remembers everything. The second pod broke open behind him. Another titan rose, broader, heavier, fur darker than void. Brutus. The silent one. His fists clenched as if waking mid-fight. Both beasts towered over Marcus, but neither threatened. They studied him, sensing the storm beneath his calm. Rax sniffed the air. You bring rage. I bring purpose, Marcus answered. Brutus tilted his head, deep voice rough but clear. Enemy. Marcus projected the recording between them. He didn't watch it again, he focused on their reactions. Rax's breathing deepened, nostrils flaring. Brutus growled, low and murderous. They took my son, Marcus said. They killed him inside a Concord lab. They're experimenting on human children, psionics. Elias wasn't the first. He won't be the last. Rax's lips peeled back in a snarl. Concord, Hunt Young. Wrong. Marcus nodded. I'm going to destroy the facility that did this. I'm going to expose everything. But it's fortified. I can't take it alone. Rax thumped his chest once. We fight. Brutus took a step forward, voice a hard rumble. You freed us. Now we free you, from pain. Marcus held their gaze. This isn't revenge for me. It's a message for them. They think humans are weak. They think they can take our children and burn their names into classified files. They're wrong. Rax leaned close. Then we go. We go, Marcus confirmed. He led them down a hallway toward the hangar. Technicians scattered as the Bigfoots moved behind him, heavy footsteps shaking the deck plates. A few guards raised rifles but lowered them instantly when they saw Marcus's expression, eyes cold, voice absolute. "Stand down," he ordered. No one argued. The hangar bay opened to reveal a matte black stealth dropship, compact but heavily shielded. Its engines hummed quietly, already prepped for launch. He'd planned this extraction long before he pressed the first command. Grief hadn't clouded him, it had sharpened his instinct. He climbed aboard, with Rax and Brutus forcing their massive frames through the hatch. The cockpit's AI flickered on. Configuration: unauthorized personnel detected. Marcus disabled the warning. The ship lifted smoothly into the subterranean launch tunnel. Red emergency lights rotated along the walls as high-security locks disengaged one by one. Above them, the desert night waited windless, still, unaware of the storm rising beneath it. Rax leaned forward, watching the tunnel blur upward. "Where we strike?" he asked. Marcus pulled up a holographic star chart. A specific coordinate pulsed red. "Karen 9, he said. "Outer frontier. Concord Fortress. Underground network." That's where they held Elias. Brutus uttered a single, grim word. "Kill." Marcus didn't correct him. Some truths didn't need softening. The dropship burst from the sand with silent force and angled toward orbit. The black of space swallowed them instantly, stars streaking past as the engines engaged hypershift. Marcus sat back in the pilot's chair. For a moment, he allowed his thoughts to settle not on the pain, but on the mission ahead. He had no illusions. This wasn't a sanctioned op. It wasn't justice in any clean or moral sense. It was war, launched by one man and two unstoppable beings. He glanced at the holoscreen. Elias's image glowed faintly, wide eyes, awkward smile, the innocence he'd never see again. Rax noticed. Strong. Your blood. Marcus swallowed hard. He was. Brutus placed a massive hand on the floor beside Marcus's chair, a gesture of silent solidarity. Marcus steadied his breathing. "They think humans break easily. They think fear stops us. They think killing my son ends this." Rax's voice rumbled. "But they wrong. Dead wrong," Marcus said. Hyperspace opened before them, violent colors twisting into a tunnel of impossible light. The ship surged forward, engines roaring with purpose. Marcus tightened his grip on the controls. "For Elias," he whispered. The Bigfoots echoed him in unity. "For human." Then the ship vanished into the stars. The hunt had begun. Karen 9 hung in the cockpit window like a wounded ember. Its atmosphere churned with storms that wrapped the planet in swirling red bands, flashes of lightning illuminating the chaos below. Marcus guided the dropship through the upper cloud layer, stabilizers shuddering as volatile air currents slammed into the hull. Rax gripped the restraint bars behind him. "This place, angry. Storm belts constant," Marcus said. "Concord built their fortress beneath it. Hard to scan from orbit, harder to reach." Brutus leaned forward, studying the violent luminescence outside. "Good. They hide. We find." The dropship pierced the last layer of cloud and dropped into a dense jungle. Massive black-leafed trees loomed through the mist, their trunks twisting upward like skeletal pillars. Fungal spores glowed faintly on the forest floor, drifting in shimmering clouds around the moving ship. Strange animal cries echoed from unseen predators. Marcus activated low-profile landing mode. The engines dimmed. The vessel slid between towering branches until its landing struts dug into soft ground. He shut everything down, no external lights, no signal emissions. Silence swallowed the cabin. "Remember," Marcus said, rising from the chair, "we stay hidden. No noise unless necessary." Brutus touched the floor. "Ground, breathes." Marcus tilted his head. "Explain." Rax answered instead. "Planet alive. Vibration different. Something moves below." Marcus didn't doubt them. Omega primates possessed a sense for environmental shifts that no human could replicate. He opened the hatch. Warm air rushed inside, heavy with mineral scent and dense humidity. The jungle hummed with restless life, each layer of sound weaving into a tense living tapestry. Marcus disembarked, followed by the two giants whose presence dwarfed even the colossal trees. Rax sniffed the air while Brutus dipped his hand into the soil, lifting a clump and crumbling it between his fingers with scrutiny. Tracks, Brutus murmured. Heavy. Many. Marcus scanned the ground. The soil was disturbed, wide three-toed prints, deep grooves carved by armored boots. Concord patrols, he confirmed. The trio moved deeper into the jungle. Marcus took point, directing the route through narrow paths between mutated vines and bioluminescent roots. He kept his rifle angled low, every step measured. The Bigfoots followed with uncanny silence for beings their size, each movement calibrated to avoid snapping branches or crushing foliage. Minutes stretched into a cautious march. A distant vibration rippled through the ground. Rax halted. Metal. Coming fast. Marcus held up a fist. They froze. He edged toward a ridge and peered over it. A Concorde hover skimmer approached, its underside emitting cold violet light. Two alien soldiers manned the platform, scanning the jungle with thermal optics. Their exosuits shimmered under the storm-filtered sunlight, helmets shaped like elongated skulls. Marcus exhaled slowly. We avoid them. Rax's voice rumbled. We hunt. Not yet. But Brutus was staring at something else, shattered metal fragments half buried in the soil nearby. Marcus crouched beside them. Scratched lettering glinted faintly. Subject Transfer Unit, Human Genome Y. His pulse tightened. These crates carried prisoners, Marcus said quietly. Children. Rax growled, soft and low. Brutus's hands curled into fists. The hover skimmer slowed. Its sensor array rotated toward their location. A faint energy tone signaled increasing focus. Move, Marcus whispered. They slid behind a fallen trunk. The skimmer drifted closer, searching. Rax's breathing deepened. They smell us. Marcus adjusted his rifle's suppressor. We're not detected yet. The skimmer hovered 20 meters away. One soldier raised his weapon, scanning the air with tense precision. Then the breeze shifted, carrying the faint scent of organic heat from Rax's broad frame. The soldier stiffened. Unidentified thermal. Rax lunged. The creature erupted from cover with explosive speed, launching himself upward. The soldier didn't finish his warning. Rax landed on the skimmer, claws slicing through armor with brutal efficiency. The platform bucked as the second soldier fumbled for a sidearm. Brutus reached him from below, yanking him straight off the hover unit and crushing his throat with silent force. The skimmer crashed into the undergrowth, sparks showering across ferns. Rax leapt off before impact, chest rising with controlled breaths. Marcus gave him a sharp glance. That wasn't the plan. Rax shrugged. Plan changed. Marcus sighed but didn't argue. The kill was clean, fast, silent enough for now. He searched the wreckage, pulling data cores from the skimmer's console. One intact module flickered with a holographic map of subterranean tunnels branching beneath the jungle. There, Marcus said, pointing. Entrance point. Fortress ventilation shaft disguised under terrain. Brutus bent to inspect the hologram. Deep. Much danger. Marcus met his gaze. Danger's the point. They trekked toward the marked location, climbing over twisted roots and under low-hanging branches heavy with metallic spores. Alien wildlife watched from shadows, six-eyed lizards clinging to trunks, winged insects with crystalline thoraxes. As they approached a broad clearing, Marcus signaled a halt. The ground here was unnaturally smooth, almost metallic. He knelt and brushed away soil to reveal a camouflaged ventilation grate. Entrance is below, he said. Rax crouched. Tunnel smells wrong. How wrong? Marcus asked. Wrong like trap. Marcus tapped his earcom. His scanner pinged multiple electromagnetic signatures. Automated defenses, dormant but primed. They'd have to bypass them manually. He checked the perimeter one last time, then pried the grate open carefully. Below, a narrow shaft descended into darkness broken only by faint blue pulses. I go first, Marcus said. Brutus grabbed his shoulder. Small. You fit. We follow. Marcus clipped a line inside and slid down the shaft, boots scraping along steel. The tunnel opened into a dim corridor filled with humming power conduits. Metallic scent thickened the air. Panels flickered with alien script. Rax landed behind him, then Brutus, both almost filling the narrow space. Marcus pointed to a sealed bulkhead. That door leads into the main transport junction. They stepped closer, then froze. The corridor ahead was lined with pods. Small ones. Child-sized. Some shattered. Some intact. Through one cracked visor, Marcus saw dried blood. His throat tightened. He approached an operational pod. A small bracelet lay inside, decorated with faded stars, a child's charm. Marcus picked it up, thumb tracing the worn metal. A quiet tremor ran through him. They used this place to sort them, he said. Before taking them deeper. Rax's fists clenched until his knuckles popped. Brutus emitted a low growl that vibrated through the floor. Marcus pocketed the bracelet. We keep moving. We don't stop until this entire facility collapses. Brutus nodded. We end them. The bulkhead lights turned red, motion sensors triggered ahead. Marcus raised his rifle. We're close. Rax cracked his neck. Good. We start now. They stepped toward the heavy door as alarms flickered to life in the depths of the fortress. The jungle silence was over. Karen 9 knew they had arrived. The bulkhead split open with a metallic groan, spilling harsh white light across Marcus's boots. Beyond the threshold stretched a long transport corridor, smooth alloy walls, glowing indicator lines, and distant mechanical hums echoing like whispers from a buried city. Stay tight, Marcus said, rifle angled forward. Rax and Brutus flanked him, shoulders nearly brushing the steel edges. The tunnel vibrated faintly under their weight, sensors adjusting to the sudden presence of entities that had no authorization to exist here. A siren pulsed twice, low, almost hesitant, before shutting off. The silence that followed felt intentional, as if the fortress itself were holding its breath. Marcus advanced quietly. At the corridor's far end, a set of reinforced blast doors sealed the entrance to the main research ring. Above the frame, alien glyphs pulsed with shifting colors. He recognized the pattern, genetic hazard designation. Rax sniffed the air. Scent changes. Cold. Chemical. Labs, Marcus replied. Brutus touched the wall, eyes narrowing as vibrations trembled against his palm. Many ahead. Waiting. Marcus didn't doubt it. The facility had shifted into adaptive defense. Nothing here would be accidental. He reached the blast doors, interfacing with the console. A holographic lock spiraled open, revealing layers of encryption shaped in Concord script. He cracked each sequence with swift precision, bypassing protocols he'd studied during Echo operations. The terminal beeped, acknowledging the intrusion. The doors parted, revealing the research ring. The scale stunned even Marcus for a moment. A circular chamber stretched several hundred meters across, layered with walkways, observation platforms, and luminescent conduits spiraling toward a reactor core glowing at the center. Suspended tanks lined the walls, each containing floating forms, some humanoid, some not. Most were children. Rax gripped the railing and growled softly. They broke them. Down below, surgical teams moved briskly around containment units. Alien scientists with elongated limbs manipulated instruments over young subjects wired to monitors. Needles glowed, feeding luminous fluids into small veins. Marcus's jaw tightened. We're ending every part of this. Movement erupted across the upper walkways. Soldiers poured out of side chambers, Concord Enforcement Legion troopers clad in obsidian armor. Their rifles tracked the intruders instantly. Shields activated with sharp hisses. Rax stepped in front of Marcus without hesitation. We fight. Before Marcus could order a coordinated strike, the speakers crackled. A deep, distorted voice filled the chamber. Commander Hale. Marcus froze. High Marshal Voss, he said quietly. The voice sharpened. You survive far beyond expectation. This facility is classified. Your presence here is unlawful. Your companions abominations. Rax bared his teeth. Come say that. Face to face. Voss chuckled, low and unhurried. Your anger is predictable. Your species, always driven by emotion. It blinds you. Marcus scanned the platforms. A hologram flickered near the reactor. Voss materialized in tall reptilian form, exoskeletal plates shimmering like liquid obsidian. His eyes glowed with cold amusement. You murdered my son, Marcus said, voice steady. We eliminated a threat, Voss replied calmly. Human psionics are unstable. His power outgrew containment. He was a child. Children are resources, Voss said. Your species reproduces effectively. One loss means nothing. Brutus snarled. Monster. Voss tilted his head. No. I am order. You are chaos. Marcus raised his rifle. Keep talking. It only ends one way. Voss continued, ignoring the weapon pointed at his projection. You will fail, Commander. You brought 2 prototypes stolen from your own creators. They are dangerous to you as well. They are not allies. They are tools. Rax stepped forward. We choose who we follow. Choice is an illusion, Voss said. Outside, alarms wailed. Inside, chaos spread. Marcus looked at the screens, jaw clenched. The truth was out. Now came the reckoning. Marcus fired. The hologram distorted, reforming instantly. Shoot me again if it comforts you, Voss said with a smirk. But your true battle begins below. The walkways erupted as Concord troops opened fire. Marcus ducked behind cover. Rax, Brutus, take the lower platforms. Keep pressure on the troops. Rax leapt off the railing, landing on the walkway with a seismic thud. Brutus followed, smashing through a support beam as he dropped. The troops shifted focus, firing plasma bolts at the charging giants. Rax tore through the first squad with unstoppable force, grabbing a soldier and slamming him into 2 others, armor fracturing under impact. Brutus ripped a railing free and swung it like a battering ram, knocking enemies off platforms into the depths below. Marcus sprinted toward a console, overriding the restraints on the children. Containment pods released with soft hisses. Some subjects collapsed unconscious, others stared at him with hollow, frightened eyes. You're safe now, he whispered, though safety was still far ahead. The soldiers regrouped, deploying shield drones that formed overlapping barriers. Plasma fire surged toward Marcus. Rax jumped in front of him, taking 3 blasts to the chest. Fur scorched, skin blistered, but he didn't fall. Keep moving, Rax growled. Brutus roared, a sound so deep the steel shook. He charged the shield line, breaking it with sheer force, tearing drones apart with savage precision. Voss's hologram flickered again. Impressive physicality. The Omega Primate line exceeded projections. I will enjoy dissecting them. Marcus ignored him and hacked the central terminal. He pulled up a file, Project Ascendant, and froze. Elias was listed as Subject 17. Images filled the screen, his son restrained to a diagnostic chair, fear wide in his eyes. Notes described psionic surges exceeding lab thresholds. Fear signals spiking. Termination authorized. Rax leaned over Marcus's shoulder. He fought. Marcus swallowed hard. More than they ever expected. Voss's voice darkened. Your son was unstable. His death prevented a catastrophic outbreak. He was trying to survive, Marcus answered. You call that instability? Rax slammed a fist into the floor, cracking the metal. Enough words. Show yourself. The hologram vanished. A deep rumble echoed from the reactor core. Voss appeared on the central platform, this time in the flesh, encased in a heavy exosuit bristling with weapons and adaptive plating. His boots hit the metal floor with deliberate, confident weight. Come then, invaders, he said. Let us finish this. Marcus stepped forward, rifle raised. Rax, Brutus, flank him. Troops swarmed from every entrance, forming protective circles around their commander. Voss raised an arm. Energy surged through his gauntlet, forming a blazing arc of plasma. You trespass on Concord soil, he boomed. You steal classified assets. You disrupt controlled evolution. You will die here. Marcus felt rage sharpen into something precise. This isn't about us. This is for every child you took. He glanced at the Bigfoots. They nodded. The assault began. Rax broke into a sprint, barreling through a squad of soldiers. Armor shattered under his charge. Brutus leapt from a higher platform, landing behind Voss's guard line, smashing them outward with devastating force. Voss activated his shields, deflecting Marcus's shots. He countered with a plasma burst that scorched the floor where Marcus had been standing seconds before. Marcus dove forward, firing controlled bursts at weak points in the exosuit joints. Sparks flew as bullets hit composite plating. Voss retaliated, slamming a shockwave across the platform. Marcus rolled to absorb the impact but still felt ribs protest under the pressure. Rax lunged at Voss from behind. The alien twisted, catching Rax's fist in one gauntleted hand. The impact sent a ripple through the floor. You are formidable, Voss admitted, but still beasts. Brutus charged, swinging a heavy support beam he'd ripped from the walkway. Voss ducked, the beam slamming into the platform with explosive force. Marcus seized the opening. He sprinted toward the central console. Cover me, he shouted. Rax grabbed Voss and locked his arms around him, anchoring the alien for a heartbeat. Brutus smashed into Voss's shield from the opposite side, destabilizing it. Marcus reached the console and inserted a data spike. The reactor's warning lights flared red. Voss snarled. What are you doing? Ending your empire, Marcus said. He hit the final command. The fortress shut down every lock, not to imprison, but to reveal every secret. Holographic screens erupted across the chamber, broadcasting files of Project Ascendant to every active node across the galaxy. Children in cells. Surgical experiments. Elias's final moments. Voss saw his downfall in the screens above him. You human fool, he roared. The research ring shook as the reactors beneath it roared awake. Warning sirens spiraled through every level, their shrill pulses echoing through corridors thick with smoke and falling debris. Marcus steadied himself on the central console, the data spike still burning with data transfer heat. He watched the screens above him cycle through all the evidence, Elias's final seconds among them, now broadcasting across every Concord communication node. There was no undoing it. The galaxy had seen their sins. Rax staggered from a fresh hit as Voss tore free of his grip. The High Marshal's exosuit glowed with overcharged energy, plates shifting into a sharper, more predatory form. Sparks danced around his armor as it recalibrated for a single-purpose obliteration. You corrupt everything you touch, Voss snarled. Now you infect the galaxy with your grief. Marcus met his gaze. Truth isn't infection. It's exposure. Voss lunged. Marcus rolled aside as a wave of plasma scorched the floor where he'd stood. Rax roared and slammed into Voss from behind, but the alien rotated, grabbing Rax by the arm and hurling the massive creature across a platform. The impact collapsed an entire walkway, metal shrieking as it fell into the reactor abyss. Rax! Marcus shouted. Rax pushed himself out of the wreckage, fur scorched, blood seeping down his shoulder, but his eyes held steady. Still fight, he grunted. Brutus leapt onto Voss's flank, both fists driving into the exosuit's power core. Armor dented. Circuits sparked. Voss bellowed, the sound guttural and enraged. He swung an armored arm backward, smashing Brutus across the face. The Bigfoot crashed into a data pillar, shattering the thick glass and collapsing to one knee, dazed. Marcus fired controlled shots at the suit's joint seams. The bullets ricocheted off still-active shielding, but one punctured a vent port, releasing a burst of superheated steam. Voss whipped around. You cannot defeat the Concord. You cannot undo decades of order. Marcus advanced anyway. You murdered children to build that order. Voss raised both gauntlets, charging a dual plasma strike. Brutus lunged again, intercepting the blow. Plasma shredded into his chest, burning deep, but he held Voss's arms, teeth clenched. Marcus, finish. Marcus sprinted. He slid under the locked struggle, pulled his combat knife free, and drove it into the exposed seam where Brutus had dented the armor. The blade sank deep, sparks erupting with violent arcs. Voss screamed, high, metallic, distorted. Brutus tightened his hold, using the last of his strength to twist the alien's arms outward. The suit's servos tore, screeching through the chamber. Rax charged from behind, a thunderous impact that lifted all three participants off the ground. He crashed into Voss with a force that cracked the platform in half. The exosuit shattered, plates exploding outward. Voss fell to his knees, armor failing, energy flickering across his body like dying lightning. Marcus stood over him, breathing hard. Sweat and dust streaked his face. Voss's eyes burned with disbelief. Human rage, always your curse. No, Marcus said quietly. It's what makes us fight for what matters. He drove the knife deeper. The High Marshal convulsed once, then fell still. The alarms intensified. The reactor beneath them hissed, panels splitting open from overheating. Red strobes flickered through the chamber like dying stars. Rax limped forward, chest rising in ragged breaths. Marcus, Brutus hurt. Marcus rushed to Brutus. The giant slumped against the broken pillar, plasma burns carved deep into muscle and bone. His breaths were shallow, each one slower than the last. Stay with me, Marcus said, gripping his arm. Brutus shook his head. No time. Marcus scanned the area, collapsed walkways, failing supports, fire spilling across cracked conduits. We're getting out. All of us. Brutus lifted one massive hand, placing it against Marcus's chest. You saved many. Enough. Marcus clenched his teeth. You're not dying here. Rax knelt beside them. His voice trembled. Brother, stand. Brutus smiled a small, weary curve of lips. Stand, later. The floor lurched as the central reactor released a deafening metal groan. Heat washed over them in sharp waves. Marcus swallowed the ache in his throat and slipped Brutus's arm around his shoulders. The weight was immense, but he forced himself upright. I'm not leaving him. Rax rose too, supporting Brutus's other side. We carry. Together, they began moving toward the evacuation lift at the chamber's far end. Sparks rained from overhead. Pipes burst. Flames licked at the walkways as the facility buckled around them. Halfway across, the path collapsed, leaving only twisted beams above a roaring chasm. Marcus stepped forward carefully, testing each foothold. Rax followed, balancing Brutus's massive weight with controlled precision. A section of ceiling tore loose and plummeted toward them. Rax dropped to one knee, raising both arms, catching the slab midair. Muscles bulged, fur singed, tendons straining. Go, he shouted. Marcus dragged Brutus across the remaining beam, heart pounding. Rax held the collapsing structure long enough for them to reach solid ground, then hurled the slab aside and leapt over the gap just as the entire walkway fell into the core. They staggered into the lift chamber. Marcus slammed his palm onto the activation panel. The lift doors slid open, revealing a narrow platform surrounded by flickering lights. They carried Brutus inside. The doors sealed, and the lift shot upward, the hum of failing machinery shaking the shaft. Through the narrow windows, Marcus watched the fortress imploding layer by layer, floors collapsing into the inferno. Brutus leaned against the wall, exhaling a soft breath. His eyes dimmed slightly. Marcus. I'm here, Marcus said. Your son, strong. Marcus nodded, fighting the heaviness swelling in his chest. He was brave. Brutus managed a faint smile. You, strong too. Marcus gripped his arm. Because of him. The lift reached the surface level with a violent jolt. Doors opened to the stormlit jungle. The sky above churned in crimson and gold as lightning streaked through the clouds. They stepped out just as the ground trembled violently. Behind them, the fortress erupted. A column of white-hot energy burst from the ground, ripping through the canopy like a spear of light. Shockwaves slammed into them, forcing Marcus to brace himself, shielding Brutus as debris scattered across the clearing. Despite the explosion's fury, the storm clouds parted slightly, revealing a quiet break in the chaos, a streak of pale morning light descending through the sky. Marcus lowered Brutus to the ground gently. The Bigfoot's breathing slowed, each inhale quieter than the last. Rax knelt beside him. Brother. Brutus looked at both of them with calm acceptance. End for me. Not you. Marcus bowed his head. We'll honor you. Always. Brutus released a final breath, deep and peaceful, then went still. For a long moment, neither Marcus nor Rax spoke. The wind carried the last echoes of the fortress's destruction, a distant reminder that the truth now lived beyond this battlefield. Marcus placed a hand on Brutus's chest. For Elias, he whispered. Rax rested his massive hand beside Marcus's. For human. The sun edged over the horizon, casting warm light across the wreckage-strewn clearing. Marcus rose slowly, pain settling into his limbs, but a steady resolve replacing the ache. The galaxy had its proof. The Concord had lost its secrets. And a father had carved justice from the ashes. Rax stood beside him, towering but silent. Marcus looked toward the sky. It's not over, he said. Rax nodded. We fight more. We protect, Marcus replied. This time, the whole frontier. They turned toward the jungle, leaving the fallen facility and Brutus's resting place behind them. The storm broke completely, and daylight spread across Karen 9. A quiet, solemn beginning to the reckoning yet to come. ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check import.